how many people could identify the right cause. And we gave them a list of causes that were listed by the company. Then we also wanted to understand, how does this affect your purchase intent? Like, if you knew a company was doing something, will you buy more from that company or not, right? So let's go through the general findings. So the first thing we discovered was when we asked people to at least pair one correct brand to one correct cause. So we had two lists: companies here, causes that they support according to their websites, right? Only 26% of all those people we interviewed, over 1,500 people, were able to correctly assign a brand with their social cause. But look at that, Hispanics more than non-Hispanics by 4 percentage points, right? So that means Hispanics are leaning in, they're tuning in, they want to know, right? They're paying attention. Then we said, we asked them to pair the brands with the right social causes, and that went even down further. Only 14% of those were able to correctly match, what Microsoft is doing with corporate responsibility, or Mars is doing with corporate social responsibility. So it went even down further, right? When we asked unaided, hey, tell us the top brand social cause matches that came up, not surprisingly, Ronald McDonald's. Number one for both Hispanics and non-Hispanics. But look at the difference in how non-Hispanic and Hispanics, the awareness they had of the other causes. So they associate NFL with breast cancer. Why? The players wear pink gloves and pink this and pink whatever. Very impactful, right? Even though, obviously, Susan G. Komen was the one behind that. And who is the association that does most for cancer? The American Cancer Society. They don't associate the American Cancer Society with it. They associate the NFL. Interesante, huh? Hunger relief with Walmart on the non-Hispanics. Number 3 for Hispanics. Number 4, education with Microsoft. And then not on our list at all, not on our list, Starbucks came up. Because they do so much and they talk about what they do, they came up naturally. So then we asked, okay, we provided them with a list of social causes and asked them how important they were to them, in general. Does it have a positive importance to them or not? And here you can see almost 80% of Hispanics, 72% of non-Hispanics said, yes, these social causes are important to me. Okay? So by 7 points, again, Hispanics over-indexing. I'm being told I have less time. I got to run. And then we said, okay, now if you knew a company was supporting a cause that's important to you, would you buy that brand more? And yes, you can see that by 8 percentage points, Hispanics over-index over non-Hispanics and saying, yes, if I knew that X company was supporting something that is personally important to me, I will buy that brand, to what the gentleman was saying earlier. And then, of course, if it's personally important to them, same percentage lift of 8%. So these are all the causes that we tested for by companies, and then education, environment, and health were really the ones that stood out the most, as you can see. And then, to give you a sense, we tested for different things that each of these companies were doing. So whether it's classroom resources and reading materials, or school meals, after-school programs, early childhood development, STEM education, giving access to internet for kids in school. These are all corporate social responsibility programs from all those great companies. And there you can see how Hispanic and non-Hispanic varied in terms of the importance they gave it, Hispanics always being much more than non-Hispanics. So bottom line, there's an opportunity to increase the Hispanic awareness of brands, companies, support. Hispanics place greater importance on those brands that support these kinds of causes and will buy more once they know what a brand is doing. So the very first exercise, I want to try to take you guys through, and I know, yeah, please.
Does your data show actual purchasing results for that, or what people said in the survey?
It's a purchase intent based on a survey. But we are now engaging with brands at Univision with this type of CSR, and we are starting to see that actually sales, in fact, Coke is one of the leading contenders as well as Unilever. And I know we're talking big brands here, but they've started to do messaging around, well, Coke famously with the polar bears and with other things, right? They know that works because they move more cases as a result of doing some of this CSR kind of branding. But this is based on purchase intent that people told us.
Because the data that I've seen shows the strongest correlation tends to run with actual income. You're looking at it, segmenting it by income, to where premium brands is associated with a premium brand along with a high net worth individual who's willing to shell out the additional dollars for that associated higher value.
I hear you, and obviously people with higher incomes have more ability to do that. But I think the research that I've been seeing is that it does affect. It could, it could be McDonald's supporting Ronald McDonald's House also sells more burgers, in general. So is your company currently engaged in a corporate social responsibility? And if so, how are they getting their message out to 3 important target audiences, right? Consumers, employees, and stakeholders. Oftentimes, and we're not going to have time to go through this with everybody, oftentimes companies will, through their public affairs or their community relations, say, oh, I'm supporting, breast cancer or whatever it is. But it's really, A, not aligned with the company mission, right? And B, maybe the employees know about it because they send out a notice, right, to everybody, hey, March of Dimes, support it. Maybe the stakeholders, meaning the people who invest in the company, also know it because they put it out in their annual report. But very few times consumers don't know it. Consumers don't know it. So, I mean, a hospital, for example, is not the same. I mean, your mission is advocacy, right? So, yeah. So, with hospitals and nonprofits where your mission is the advocacy, I think you should think about how you're engaging with your stakeholders, the partners that you're trying to think about, right? And in the last, I'm going to hand these out. This is for you guys to take home. People often have a hard time trying to understand. Yes. Well, how do I build? What's the purpose? How do I figure out, right, the purpose, the criteria for defining purpose-driven brands? So if you flip to the other side, not the charty thingy. The first, so this is just to help you guys think about, this is work done by the guy who used to run the sustainability at global marketing for Coca-Cola, to the question of the gentleman earlier, and an assistant professor at Georgia Tech. And they're doing a fantastic study that's going to come out at Harvard Business Review in the fall about linking sustainability attributes to brand equity and embedding sustainability as a marketing priority, because they're convinced that if you do tell people about the good work you're doing, you're going to sell more cases of whatever it is, whether it's high end or low end. That's their theory. But oftentimes, again, people have a hard time, well, what's the right thing for my company to get behind? So here's a list of 6 attributes, and you have them right there for you to, I'll just read them off to you. But first, you must make sure that your company has adopted a benefit to society as part of their marketing position. Again, for example, Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's sells ice cream, but they also support the environment, right? Everybody knows that, right? Because they have positioned that brand benefit, right, to a benefit to society as part of the market position, right? Patagonia, another great example. Starbucks, another great example. You know immediately that they're selling you coffee, but they stand for something. So you need to make sure that that is true with whatever you're trying to do. Second, you must make sure that this CSR is linked to a growth opportunity, right? That the societal benefit that you're trying to promote is related to the growth strategy of your brand. Again, the Audi example is a good example. They chose equal pay, but they're not living that. So they need to make sure they either live that before they choose the CSR thing, or they find something else that they can say, we live by this, right? It must have defined as a success criteria. You must have measurable goals associated with the societal benefit. A great example was what I was sharing with you from Starbucks, right? We want to hire 10,000 veterans or spouses in our, that's a goal, right? That they could check it off, right? Did we hire 10,000 people or 100,000 opportunity youth? So that, if you don't put a criteria, a measurable criteria, then you don't know if you're doing it right, right? Because you're never going to be able to say, oh yeah, we hired, here's the criteria. So you need to have a measurable goal associated with the benefit to check the progress as you go along and to evaluate the performance of the brand. To what the gentleman was saying earlier, did we sell more stuff as a result of this? Here's where the hardest part comes, right? Internally, oftentimes we say, oh yeah, we want to do this, we want to support, breast cancer, but we don't really dedicate the resources to make sure that the actions that we're getting behind are really allocated to the development of the programs that are specifically designed to advance the goals and the societal benefits for at least 1 year. Oftentimes it's like, oh, we'll sponsor this one event. It's like what I was telling you earlier with the campaigns. You don't do marketing campaigns for one season. You do marketing campaigns for the consumer's life, right? So you want to be part of their life every day, whether it's winter or spring or summer or fall, right? Then that's the other thing. This is where the biggest problem is. People don't know. Benefit is made public by the brand to its market. People don't know that, everybody knows what MD Anderson stands for because that's all they do. And they're, they cross off the word cancer. They're famous for that, right? So, but that was their positioning. That's their mission statement. Does your company, Metro PCS, what are you going to stand behind? And then how are you going to tell people, hey, Metro PCS, we stand behind, let's say, recycling telephones. Something that is positive, impactful, and that matters.
One question for you. Would you consider a sponsorship? For example, my most recent large sponsorship, Pride. T-Mobile and Metro sponsored, I think, over 40 events across the entire nation. Would you consider that part?
That's more community relations, and it's good. But what we're talking about here is you guys defining a purpose that you can get behind. Maybe it's equal pay. Maybe at PCS, men and women make the same amount of money. Maybe it's, you find a purpose that you can really get. Maybe it's eradicate cancer. I don't know. You guys have to define what the purpose is that you want to stand behind. The supporting the LGBT community and all, that's just community relations. It can be additive if you have a purpose and you say it at these events, right? I'm not saying don't do that. Please continue doing that. But then, last but not least, it has to be recognized by consumers, right? Just like we were saying with Ronald McDonald's and Starbucks, people know, oh, that's what they do, right? Yeah.
I had a question on behalf of that. So for the Hispanics to feel that they are being informed, does it have to be a social responsibility that's Hispanic driven? Like
No.
Okay.
No. It can be anything. Like if you remember the chart I showed you about what matters to Hispanics, it's education, it's, STEM education, environment. Ahí está. Oops, sorry, me pasé. After school programs, water conservation. A big program we have now on the air is with Miller Coors.
So, and we had a client once that their education was part of the CSR, and they wanted to focus more on which Hispanic students received money from that specific responsibility, but not as a whole, like for the general market as well.
But,
So I feel like
but
that
see,
was-
that feels like a tactic to me,
Yeah.
right? So, but are they known as a company who supports education?
Yes, but they wanted to go back and see other competitors and see what they were doing for the Hispanic education.
Yeah.
Social response, you know?
But it's a tactic, see? It's not the, right? You need to, people need to know, right? What I was saying, it needs to be known by the consumer. And honestly, the best way to do that is through advertising, whether it's a digital campaign or a radio campaign. We're doing a campaign now with Miller Coors, big advertiser with Univision, you know, and they're trying to sell beer, but their ad is like, look, when we make our beer, our beautiful beer from the mountains, right? We're sustainable.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you're done drinking your beer, we want you to throw away that can in the recycle bin. And they know that they're going to sell more beer by having the sustainable messages. Another campaign that we're working with them on, it's not on the air yet, but it's don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
That's a corporate social responsibility cause, right? And it's tied to them because they make beer.
We have a local campaign running right now that State Farm sponsored for the fire department. It's called a Teenage Distracted Driving Campaign.
There you go.
Teens not to text and drive.
And that Metro PCS, there you go. That's a space where a phone company, right? Think of how people use the phone and how it could be so purpose driven. Maybe, I'm just inventing, you make a commitment to reuniting families who are lost or whatever by using the phone. I mean, you guys have to find something that feels right for you, that you can get behind, and that you really can benefit by messaging, saying, hey guys, hey consumers, we're doing this. I know, 5 minutes, I'm done. It's down to 1 minute, guys. I hope this was helpful. Take your little sheets. The idea of the chart, just for you to know, is if you have a CSR program, then for you guys to say, is it recognized by consumers on a scale of 1 to 5? So you put a 3 there. And then is the benefit made public? Maybe yes, maybe no, right? And then the ideal is for you to be the whole hectagon, but most companies are within there. But this will help you figure out where you need more help, and I hope this was helpful for everybody. For those who want to just amplify your message through our platforms, Misty's here for you guys to definitely, you already have a cause, you already have a brand, you already have something, we can make it happen. So thank you, muchas gracias. I hope this was helpful.
So good, I hate COVID times.
I was like,
No.
barely